Okay, we'd like to welcome everyone out to the webinar this evening. Once again, I'm Seth Howard with the Life as It Could Be support team, and tonight we have Ron Mueller with us, as well as David and Susie Butler. And tonight's going to be a great webinar. Before we get started with that, though, we're going to mention a few announcements that we have. The first one is Zengo Date Night with Matt Townsend. And Matt Townsend is a nationally syndicated author and trainer on business relationships and people performance. And so this is going to be a great night that you're not going to want to miss. And just a little more details, David and Susie Butler are going to present a hands-on opportunity presentation. We're going to have a special corporate presentation with Ryan Anderson and a 1-hour training on relationship and people performance. And so, like we've been saying, if you're not local, this is going to be worth the drive. So you might want to consider driving up here. And it's going to be at the Zengo headquarters on Thursday, April 28th from 7 to 9 p.m. Just another announcement real quick is Life as It Could Be is moving forward into 6 different languages. And we're hoping to see this out again within the next, like we said, 60 to 90 days. We're getting the videos put in as well, We're translating the videos into the following languages. I've got them right here. We're getting them put out in Spanish, Portuguese, French, Russian, Italian, and Mandarin Chinese. And so this is going to be really helpful for you in your business when you're working internationally and with foreigners and people who speak other languages. So that's about all I have for right now. So David, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. You darn betcha. And as far as those languages are, we'll have other parts of the website translated into the languages too. We'll have the prospecting sequence, the sponsoring sequence. We'll have we're kind of adding a website feature to Life as It Could Be that you'll find out a lot more about, and where you can have your own URL, and that'll be translated into the different languages too. So we're moving pretty aggressively into some different directions right here, and we're really happy with the field. We're also really happy with corporate and everything they're doing to help out here. So we really appreciate everybody that's helping out that might be listening in or on the line right now. It's really a pleasure to have Ron Mueller back with us. This is an extension of last week's call. Last week we dealt more closely with specific deductions and what they are, and had explanations of them. Tonight will be a little bit different. Tonight we're not really going to go into specific deductions and explanations of them, but we're going to do more in the sense of how you can use the video, how you can use these deductions as prospecting tools, as prospecting bullets type thing, and because they certainly are valuable there. I even have a couple of stories I'll say that happened the last week or two in relation to that, and as we go through. And Ron particularly wanted to have a two-week tax thing, because tax him on the line for 2 different weeks because of this very purpose, is to get an explanation one week and then the use of those the next week. And so that's what we're doing. So Ron, I know you're on the line right now, and Ron, I feel really strong that the tax deductions available to small business owners and particularly network marketers can be used as prospecting tools. I know lately I've been doing that myself quite a bit, and I know you certainly feel the same. Let's start this off by why don't you name 1 or 2 of your very, very favorite deductions that help people. Let's not really get into really explanations of the deductions. They can go back to last week's webinar in the archives to do that, but how they might be able to use a couple of these deductions with people to help understand the benefits of being a distributor. Maybe we could start there.
Sure. I think, David, 2 of my favorite ones are for 2 different reasons. One is I'd start off with the vehicle mileage deduction, because everybody drives a car, and everybody drives their car to business meetings, and a lot of them don't realize that a lot of what they would consider personal mileage can in fact be business mileage. And so if you understand the ins and outs of how the mileage tax the vehicle mileage deduction works, most people can get an extra anywhere from 4 to 8 to 10,000 miles worth of tax deductions. That's about that equates to that works out to be about $1,000 additional tax refund, and it's something people do anyway. They just need to know how to track the mileage, what's deductible, et cetera, which we went into last week. It's one of my favorite because everybody we talk to as a prospect can relate to that. They can all use it. One that I like to use as prospects because it surprises so many of them. Because we want to impress upon them how easy the deductions are, how big they are, and also there are lots of deductions that you may not even thought about. And the one that I would use in that case is hiring your kids. Very, very few people understand that you can hire children as young as the age of 6 in your home-based business. And it does so many things. The money you pay them is tax deductible to you. The money they earn is tax-free to them. But it has some other intangible benefits. I mean, not intangible, they're not tax-related benefits. Like it gets the family working together as a family. Why do you have a home-based business instead of working a part-time job at 7-Eleven? Well, one of the reasons is because it's family business. It's home-based. Well, if you're home, but you're sequestered in your home office, you're still not with your family. But if your kids are working the business with you, your spouse and the family with you, there are just a lot of camaraderie that happens there. You support each other. The kids learn that the value of being self-employed versus being employed, and so lots of value to those. So those are the two that I'd probably jump in with immediately, David. Is that the vehicle deduction is worth a lot of money, and you keep records for like 90 days, and you're done. And the hiring your kids is something most people wouldn't have thought about. And grandkids, by the way, same thing applies to grandkids. So depending upon the age of the person you're recruiting, either example could work. Those are my two favorites.
Oh, good. You know, I'm glad you mentioned those. I felt you'd start right off with those two, Ron, because those two to me are the very, very strongest as far as using deductions as kind of a prospecting methodology. Let me take a couple of minutes and just say something that happened to me just this last couple of weeks. I wasn't even, well, I always got my prospecting hat on, so I can't say I wasn't prospecting because I always do that, you know. but I wasn't really making phone calls or anything like that, but I was having a discussion with somebody, and they just brought up they brought up their 9-to-5 job and made some comment on that, and I said, well, what do you do as a home business? And they said, well, I don't really have one. I just have a 9-to-5 job. And I said, wait a minute, let me get this straight. I said, you don't have a home business. You just have a 9-to-5 job. You go to work every day and punch a clock, and that's your job. And they said, yeah. And I said, then I want you to do something. Now, right there, I could have thrown out, here's how we can use this. Right there, I could have thrown out the idea, oh, I got this video I want to send you, or why don't you have a home-based business where you can deduct a little bit more? But I decided to use something off the video because I knew it would have way more impact. And I encourage people to memorize some of the verbiage that's on that video. There's such great things. And so I told the person, instead of just running into home-based business, I said, listen, I want you to do something. And they said, what's that? I says, tonight on the way home, I want you to take a $50 bill or something, or a $20 bill or something, and I want you to get a bunch of ones. And I said, because there's something I want you to do with that. And they said, what's that? I said, I want you to have those bills. And I said, then when you get up tomorrow morning, I want you to put them on your car seat, and as you head out to work, and then I went into what you say on the video. I said, set your speedometer, odometer at 0, and when it hits 2, throw one of those dollars out the window. When it hits 4, throw another dollar out the window. When it hits 6, throw another dollar out the window. Will you do that? And he said, well, why would I do that? And I said, well, you're doing it anyway, so why don't you just make it? Why don't you just do it anyway? Since you're doing it, why don't you just, I said, I'm trying to get a message out to you. Since you're doing it anyway, why don't you just kind of see how it feels to actually watch it fly down the road? And then at that point, once I got that point out, I was able to move in and tell him about a home-based business. I said, don't you realize for a lousy $35 kit, you can start writing off that money? I said, as you drive to work in something, just by doing some minimal activity in talking to people here or there or wherever, as you're driving to and from work, just doing some incredible minimal activity, you can write that mileage off. I said, don't you understand that, what you're doing here? I said, my gosh, right now, as we're talking, you're losing $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 a year that you could be saving in your taxes. And so then when I said, could I just send you a video on some of the things I'm talking about right now? Would you just look at something? And he was so open to it, and because I know he wasn't open to network marketing, but as soon as I brought that out, he was so open to it. He says, oh my gosh, yes. And I said, good, well, I'm going to send it to you. I want you to watch it. And just for a lousy $35, why don't you save $3,000 or $4,000 a year or more? So that's a way that it can physically be used as far as that mileage. And that's the way I kind of used the video and kind of got it into that. And of course, we can do the same thing. I hate to dominate. Let me say one more thing, and then I won't dominate anymore, Ron. But I did the same thing with somebody else in regards to their kids. I said, let me ask you a question. You sometimes give your kids money? Because I'd heard them complain about giving their kids money. And they said, oh my gosh, my kids drive me crazy. Money, 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 money. My kids want money, money, money. I said, did you know there's a way you can get all that money you give your kids, you can get, all or most of it written off. You can actually create a write-off for yourself by doing that instead of just giving them free money. And they go, really? And it was another way of just getting into it, Ron. So I really like those two things that you just brought up. Let me ask you a question here, Ron, unless you want to comment more on that. What would you say?
Let me make one comment on what you said, David, because it's really, really important. We've got to stop reading scripts to our prospects and listen to them. Find out what they care about. When you knew about somebody giving money to their kids and they're irritated at that or frustrated at that, you gave them a solution. You found somebody who was only had a 9-to-5 job and they're throwing money away. You gave them a solution. So learn something, ask questions. The more success, our success in network marketing is dependent upon not what we say, but the questions we ask. Ask good questions, and then you can respond with good answers like you just did, David.
It's so important because most people do that. Most 9-to-5ers don't know what we're talking about right now. And most people that give money to their kids don't know what we're talking about right now. So all we need to do is pose some questions, or if we overhear something, come out with this stuff. And all of a sudden we can totally transform someone from someone that doesn't even like network marketing to all of a sudden give them a reason that they're going to like network marketing. I mean, this is when you get right down to it, this is kind of an easy transformation for a lot of people. And
it is. Our business is not recruiting. Our business is helping people that have a need. But we know they need it before we can help them, and then we end up recruiting them. Recruiting is the byproduct of helping people.
Exactly. Now let me go this, and this comes up constantly with us as distributors as we're talking to people. It comes up both as we're recruiting, and it comes up with our existing base of people. What would you say if someone says that they say, well, it sounds okay, but I just can't afford to get involved. Or if they say, I can't afford my monthly product purchases anymore or something. How would you respond to something like that?
I would ask them, I'd ask them a question. The first question I'd ask is, do you have a full-time job, a W-2 job, where you go to work 9 to 5 or whatever it is, and you get paid a paycheck once or twice a month, and you get a W-2 at the end of the year? Most people will say yes. When they say yes, then you say, well, if I could show you a way to get your employer to increase your take-home pay by